Welcome to my new video. These are 5 real Reddit horror stories, so cuddle up and listen carefully. Let's start. The Fire Lookout. I took a seasonal fire lookout job because I needed money and I needed quiet. That sounds like the first sentence of a bad decision. And yeah, fine, it was. The posting was vague. Remote placement, minimal contact, overnight shifts possible. But it paid more than anything else I could get fast. I figured it would be boring. You stare at trees, you log weather, you call in smoke, you go home. The first weird thing happened before I even got there. My supervisor, a guy named Dan, slid a stapled packet across the desk like he didn't want his fingerprints on it. Read it, follow it, don't improvise. It looked like a standard procedures booklet. Radio codes, wildfire protocol, emergency numbers. But right in the middle was a single page titled Additional Guidelines in a different font. 3 bullet points. If you see lights between the tree line and the ridge after sunset, do not acknowledge them. If you hear tapping on the trapdoor ladder, do not open it. If the radio transmits your voice when you are not speaking, turn it off for exactly 1 minute. I stared at Dan and tried to make my face do amused. He didn't smile. Is this some kind of hazing thing? I asked. Dan looked past me like he was checking if anyone could hear. Then he said, "That tower isn't on public maps. You understand?" I nodded even though I didn't. And the last guy, he added, left early. Didn't pack, just left. We're not getting into that. He pushed the keys toward me. End of conversation. The drive took 4 hours. The last hour was basically a dirt vein cut into the mountain. The kind of road where you pull over and let your stomach settle because your hands are still clenching the wheel. The tower appeared like a silhouette, a spindly skeleton of wood and metal against a gray sky with a small cabin perched on top like a birdhouse. No other buildings, no other cars, no service, just wind and trees and the kind of silence that feels like it's listening back. Inside the cabin, everything was too neat. A cot with military corners, a small propane stove, a weather log binder, radio equipment that looked newer than it should have, and then a notebook on the desk. It was labeled Shift Log. I flipped through it expecting clear skies and no smoke. Instead, the entries were weirdly personal. June 3rd. Heard someone below at 1:12. Probably deer. June 7th. Lights again. Ignored. June 9th. Radio repeated my last transmission in my voice. Followed protocol. June 12th. I'm sleeping less. I don't like the latter sound. Then the handwriting changed halfway down the page. Same dates, same pen, different handwriting, like someone else continued the log. June 14th. He's pretending he doesn't notice. June 15th. Lights closer, he almost waved. June 16th. If he opens the trap door, it's over. I stopped flipping. I checked the back of the notebook. No name, no property of, just more entries like that. 2 different hands overlapping days. I told myself the obvious. 2 people shared shifts, but the schedule Dan gave me said I was alone, and the tower was supposedly empty before I arrived. I didn't like how cold the cabin felt for midday. That first night was quiet. Too quiet, actually. No owls, no insects, just wind. I tried to sleep early. I couldn't. So I sat at the desk with the radio on low, listening to the dull comfort of static and the occasional distant check-in from a ranger station. Around 11:40 p.m., I saw something through the window. A light. Not a flashlight bobbing, not a headlamp, not a fire. A steady white light between the tree line and the ridge, like a distant porch light that didn't belong there. It sat perfectly still for maybe 10 seconds. Then it shifted sideways, smoothly, as if it were floating. I remembered the guideline. Do not acknowledge them. I know how stupid that sounds written out, but something about that light made my mouth go dry. My brain did the animal thing. Don't move, don't signal, don't invite. I stayed still. The light drifted behind trees and disappeared. I waited for relief. It didn't come. Instead, I felt watched. That's not a ghost story cliche. It was physical, like pressure on the back of my neck, like the cabin had a second occupant made out of attention. I slept maybe 2 hours. The second night, the ladder started. If you've never been in a lookout tower, there's a trap door in the floor, and beneath it, a ladder down the shaft. At 2:07 a.m., I heard a sound from below, wood on wood, like someone testing the ladder with a fingernail. Tap, pause, tap, tap. It wasn't random. It had rhythm, like a person trying not to be noticed. My whole body went hot with adrenaline. I sat up in bed staring at the trap door. Then the tapping moved slowly up the ladder. Tap, tap, tap. Each one slightly louder. I grabbed the flashlight. I stepped toward the trap door like an idiot and stopped with my hand inches from the latch. Guideline number 2. If you hear tapping on the trapdoor ladder, do not open it. I backed away. The tapping reached the top rung and stopped. Silence. I stood there for, I don't know, a full minute? 2? Long enough for my legs to start shaking. Then from directly beneath the trapdoor, I heard breathing. Close. Slow. As if whoever was down there had put their face right under the wood and was listening to me breathe back. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't swallow. Eventually, the breathing faded, rung by rung, down the ladder until it was just wind again. I sat on the cot until morning with the flashlight on my lap, pointed at the trap door like that mattered. Day 3, I called Dan. I tried to sound normal. I tried to sound like, "Hey, weird wildlife." "What do you mean tapping?" he asked. "Like someone climbing, like a person." A pause, then, "Did you open it?" "No." Another pause, smaller this time, like a breath. "Good," he said. "Don't." "Dan," I said, "what is this?" He answered too fast. "It's isolation. It messes with your head. Log it. Keep the radio on. Don't..." And he stopped himself. "Don't what?" I asked. "Don't engage." He hung up. That night, the radio did the thing. I was mid-sentence checking in. "Tower 12, clear skies, no smoke visible, over." Static, click, and then my voice came back through the speaker. "Tower 12, clear skies, no smoke visible, over." Perfectly identical, same cadence, same minor throat catch. The guideline number 3 said, "Turn it off for exactly 1 minute." My hands were shaking so hard I fumbled the switch. Radio off. The silence in the cabin was immediate and wrong, like the room had been holding its breath and finally exhaled. I watched my watch. 30 seconds, 45. At 58 seconds, something thumped against the outside wall. One heavy impact, like a shoulder. I hit the power back on at exactly 1 minute. The radio hissed to life, and a voice, not mine, came through, low and close, like the speaker was inches from my ear. "Too slow." I sat there frozen with my finger still on the switch. Then the voice changed again. My voice. Soft, coaxing, intimate. "Open the trap door. It's cold down here." I didn't sleep at all after that. On night 5, I saw the lights again. Not 1, 3. All at different distances, like they were placed deliberately. They moved as if they were testing my field of view, sliding behind trees, reappearing closer, pausing. The tapping started. Tap, tap, closer than before. I stayed on the cot with the flashlight aimed at the trap door. The breathing came back, and it was different. It wasn't just one set of lungs. It was multiple. Soft, overlapping inhales, like a group of people trying to synchronize. Then came the whispering. Not clear words, not sentences, more like the sound of mouths shaping speech without committing to it. Then one phrase, crisp and undeniable, in a voice I recognized. Dan's voice. "Hey," it said gently. "Open up, it's me. You're fine." I stared at the trap door until my eyes watered, because that wasn't Dan. And even if it was, why would he be 4 hours away at 3 a.m., climbing a ladder to a tower that isn't on public maps? Then it happened, the worst sound of all, the latch from the outside. The trapdoor handle shifted as if someone had gripped it and tested it. I watched it move, a fraction of an inch, back, then again, and I realized I had never locked it. I didn't know it could be locked. I lunged and shoved the heavy desk chair on top of it. The handle stopped moving, The breathing turned amused, a soft collective exhale, like laughter without sound. Morning came gray and sour. I packed in 10 minutes, not neatly, not properly. I just shoved everything into the duffel like my life depended on it, because it felt like it did. Before I left, I opened the shift log again. There was a new entry. Fresh ink, same notebook I hadn't touched since day one. June 20th, he learned the rules. That makes it harder. June 21st, he'll leave. They all do. June 22nd, another one will come. I dropped the notebook like it burned. When I climbed down the ladder and looked up, I expected the trap door to swing open or a face to appear. Nothing. Just the tower above me, innocent in the daylight. But as I started walking to my car, I saw something between the trees. A figure, human height, still, watching. I couldn't see a face, just the impression of a person. And then from behind me, somewhere up in the tower, I heard my own voice drift down. Come back tonight. I didn't. I never went back. And I know you're going to think this ends with, and I got therapy and it was fine. It didn't. For months afterward, I'd wake up at night convinced I heard tapping under my bed. Sometimes when I'm alone, my phone speaker will crackle, and I'll hear my own voice say something I didn't say. And every time for exactly 1 minute, I turn it off. Because some part of me believes the rules are real. And once you follow rules like that long enough, you start to wonder who wrote them and why they work. Let's have a short break. Did you subscribe yet? It would mean the world to me if you leave a like and follow the channel so you don't miss my next upload. Okay, let's continue. Nightmare in a rental house. I didn't want a vacation. I wanted a pause button. My girlfriend and I had been running on fumes. Work, stress, city noise. The kind of routine that makes you feel like you're living in a waiting room. So when she found a secluded cabin listing, 2 hours out, it felt perfect. The listing had the usual buzzwords: cozy, private, nature, unplug, and one sentence in the house rules that we laughed at. Basement doors off limits. It sticks and we're renovating. Do not attempt to open. We joked about it in the car like it was an obvious horror movie sign. We weren't taking it seriously. We should have. The cabin was exactly what the photos promised. A small wooden place tucked into trees, a fire pit, an old porch swing that creaked in the wind like it was remembering other people. Inside smelled like pine cleaner and old wood. The basement door was in the kitchen. That's what made it worse. If it had been in a hallway or behind a bookshelf, it would have been creepy in a fun way. But it was right there next to the pantry, a plain door with a new brass knob. Normal, domestic, like it had no business hiding anything. First night was fine. We cooked, drank, put on a movie, fell asleep. At 2:43 a.m., I woke up because the cabin vibrated, not like an earthquake, like a low hum passing through the floorboards. My girlfriend was asleep beside me, breathing slow. The hum lasted maybe 10 seconds, then stopped. And in the silence, I heard a knock. From the kitchen, one knock careful, like someone tapping wood to test it. I sat up, another knock. Then, a soft dragging sound, like something heavy shifting on the other side of a door. I told myself it was the house settling. Old cabin, temperature change, pipes. That's the lie you tell yourself when your body already knows the truth. I got up and walked barefoot to the bedroom doorway. The kitchen was dark, but the moonlight through the small window hit the basement door just enough to show the outline. I stood there staring like that would solve it. Then the brass knob turned, slowly. Not all the way, just enough to confirm the movement wasn't random. I felt my stomach drop into my legs. I stepped back, and the floorboard under my heel creaked. The knob froze. A full minute of silence. Then from the other side of that door, a voice whispered, "Hello?" It was faint, human, not a monster voice, not a demon growl, a normal voice, like someone lost in a building. My girlfriend woke up behind me and whispered, "What is it?" I whispered back, "Nothing. Go back to sleep." I didn't want her to hear it, because if she heard it, it would become real for both of us. The voice came again, slightly louder. "Hello? Is someone there?" We didn't answer. The knob stopped moving, and then the hum returned, deeper this time. like something powering up. The lights flickered, and the basement door clicked, unlocked. I hadn't touched it. I didn't even know it was locked. The door opened about an inch by itself. A line of colder air spilled into the kitchen like breath from a mouth. The smell hit next, wet earth and something metallic underneath, like pennies and rust. My girlfriend grabbed my arm. "We should leave," she whispered. I wanted to say yes immediately, but I'm embarrassed to admit the thing that kept me there for a second was pride, curiosity, the stupid human impulse to confirm. I stepped toward the door, and then, from the crack, I saw a stair. Not a normal basement step, a clean, carpeted stair. Beige, like it belonged in a suburban home. But this cabin didn't have carpet anywhere, just wood. The door opened another inch like it was inviting me, and I swear to God I heard my own voice say, from down below, "It's okay, come down." I backed away so fast I hit the counter. My girlfriend started crying immediately, the kind of silent crying that means she's trying not to make noise. We grabbed our phones. No service. We grabbed the car keys, and then we realized the keys were on the kitchen table, right next to the basement door. The door was open wider now, maybe 5 inches, enough to see the top of the stairs descending into blackness, and the hum had become rhythmic, like breathing. I reached for the keys and kept my eyes fixed anywhere else. The moment my fingers touched the key ring, the basement door jerked open. Not slowly, not creepily, violently like a hand yanked it from the inside. A rush of cold air filled the kitchen. The darkness beyond the first stair looked thick, like fog, but black. And something down there moved, not up the stairs, just shifted, as if it was standing and adjusting its weight. Then the voice came again. My voice right behind my ear. "Don't be rude." I dropped the keys. My girlfriend screamed, and that snapped my body into motion. I scooped the keys, grabbed her wrist, and we ran out the front door barefoot into the night. We didn't stop to put on shoes. We didn't stop to grab bags. We got into the car and it took 3 tries to start, like it was reluctant. When the engine finally turned over, the cabin lights shut off all at once. Not flickered. Off. Total dark behind us. As we pulled out, my headlights swept the porch, and someone was standing there. Not the host, not a neighbor. A figure in plain clothes, still as a mannequin, watching us leave. I couldn't see a face, just a pale oval where a face should be. My girlfriend begged me not to look back. I didn't. We drove until we got service and called the host. Straight to voicemail. We messaged through the app, no answer. In the morning, customer support responded with a generic apology. They refunded us. Then the listing disappeared. No record, like it never existed. Here's what makes me sick. A week later, I got a notification from my phone's photo backup. It had uploaded one picture at 2:44 a.m. A photo I didn't take. It was a blurry shot of the kitchen, and in it, the basement door was open. And on the first stair were 2 bare footprints, wet with dirt, pointing upward, as if someone had just started coming up. I took a night shift cleaning office buildings. I cleaned office buildings at night because it paid cash and asked no questions. I'm not proud of that era of my life, but it's the truth. Midnight to 5 a.m., empty floors, fluorescent lights, vacuum noise, and the sense that you're erasing people's day. My route included a corporate high-rise where nobody spoke to me except the security guard in the lobby. His name tag said Martin, and his eyes always looked tired in a way that felt permanent. First week, everything was normal. Second week, I noticed one office on the 14th floor was always messy. Not forgot a coffee cup messy. I mean, papers scattered like someone panicked, drawers pulled open, chair knocked sideways. I'd clean it, reset it. Next night, same mess. I asked Martin if someone was coming in late. He stared at the camera wall for a long time before answering. "No," he said. "Nobody's supposed to be here." I laughed like it was a joke. Martin didn't. Night 12, I was emptying trash when every monitor on the 14th floor turned on at once. Not gradually, instant. The glow lit the whole open-plan office like a stage. Each screen showed the same thing, a blank desktop with one folder labeled Meeting. I stood there holding a trash bag like a moron, waiting for the screensaver to kick in. Then every monitor went black, and in the black reflection, I saw someone sitting at a desk behind me. I turned. Empty. I looked back at the monitor. The reflection showed the figure again, still seated, head slightly tilted, watching me. I walked closer to the desk. The reflection figure didn't move. It wasn't a delay. It wasn't a glitch. It was present, as if the monitor was a window and someone was on the other side. My phone buzzed. No service inside the building, but I looked anyway. A text from an unknown number. Don't look at them through glass. I spun around, heart punching my ribs. No one, just fluorescent hum. I shoved the phone in my pocket and finished the floor fast, eyes down, avoiding reflections like they were traps. The next night, Martin stopped me in the lobby. He didn't look at me when he spoke. Skip the 14th floor, he said. I can't, I told him. It's my assignment. Martin finally looked at me. His eyes were wet, like he'd been holding back something for a long time. Then don't clean that office, he said. Which office? He nodded upward. The messy one. Of course I didn't listen. I told myself I was being rational. I told myself it was teenagers breaking in or a homeless person hiding. I rode the elevator to 14. The doors opened. The messy office was worse than ever. Every drawer open. Papers everywhere. The chair flipped fully onto its side. And on the desk, dead center, was a printed badge. My name, my employee ID, my photo. I didn't have a badge for this building. They never issued one. I picked it up and flipped it. On the back in marker, you work here now. I dropped it. The lights dimmed. Not off. Dimmed, like the building exhaled. Then from the far end of the floor, I heard a vacuum start. My vacuum was unplugged. The sound moved closer. Slow, steady, like footsteps. I crouched behind a cubicle wall, holding my breath. The vacuum sound stopped right on the other side. A shadow slid across the carpet. Then a voice, calm and conversational, said, "Shift starts at midnight." It was my voice. I ran. I didn't care about dignity or job or paycheck. I hit the elevator button like it owed me life. The doors took forever. As I waited, the monitors in the hallway turned on again. All of them. This time they didn't show desktops. They showed security camera footage of me standing at the elevator from multiple angles. And in every angle, there was someone else behind me, close, smiling. When the elevator doors finally opened, I dove inside. As the doors closed, I saw the figure clearly in the gap. It was me. Same uniform, same face. But his smile was too wide, and he lifted a hand like he was clocking in. I quit the next day. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from HR of that company. Not my cleaning company, their HR. "Congratulations," it said. "Welcome aboard." Enclosed was a schedule. Midnight to 5 a.m., 14th floor. I used to hear scratching in my bedroom walls. Not every night. Just often enough to make me afraid of the quiet. My parents said it was pipes, or mice, or the house settling. You know the usual. But the scratches always happened in patterns. 3 short scrapes, pause, 2 longer. Like someone practicing a code. I forgot about it as I got older. That's what happens to childhood fear. Either it matures into a phobia, or it gets buried under school, work, relationships, rent. The house became the place I grew up, not the place that scratched back. Then my parents died, and I had to go back to the house to clean it out. It felt wrong in that specific way. Only grief can make something feel wrong, like you're trespassing in your own past. The house smelled the same. Dust, old fabric, and that faint detergent sweetness my mom used for decades. Every room was packed with objects that suddenly had no owner. Day 1 was busy work. Sorting, trash bags, donation piles. The numb routine of trying not to think. Day 2, I went into my old room. My childhood bedroom hadn't changed much. Same closet, same window, the same patch of wall I used to stare at night, waiting for the scratches to start. I opened the closet because it was full of boxes and old coats, and I figured I'd get it over with. And behind the back panel, I found a seam in the drywall. Not a crack from settling, a straight, clean seam, a rectangle, a hidden access panel. I just stood there for a long time, staring at it like my eyes could turn it into something normal. I pressed the panel with my palm. It gave slightly. I pressed again, harder. The panel popped loose with a dry little sound, like a lid unsealed. Cold air spilled out. Not cool closet air. Cold air, like the inside of a refrigerator, like the space behind that wall was breathing out. I leaned closer and smelled something that made my stomach tighten. Stale sweat, old food, damp fabric. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight and aimed it inside. It was a crawl space. Tight and unfinished, just beams and insulation and the dark depth of the house's skeleton. The kind of place you assume is empty because it's too miserable to imagine someone choosing to be there. Except it wasn't empty. There was a blanket nest shoved into the corner, empty cans, wrappers, a plastic bottle used as a toilet, and a notebook. Right on top of the blanket, like it had been placed there on purpose. I didn't climb in. I didn't want to. I reached in as far as I could, pinched the notebook by the edge, and pulled it out like it might bite. The cover was plain, no brand, no label. Just a cheap spiral notebook. I sat on the floor and opened it. The handwriting was careful, not frantic, not insane scribbles. Controlled. The first page, day 1. They moved in today. They're loud. I'll learn them. I flipped. Day 13. The father leaves first. I memorize his steps. Day 38. The mother cries at night. I don't like the sound. Day Simps Divvy. The boy hears me sometimes. He stops breathing when I scratch. I felt my throat close. Because the boy was me. I turned pages faster, like speed could turn it into a misunderstanding. Day 173. The boy sleeps with a light on now. Smart. Day 241. I practiced his voice. He almost answered. Day 260. I can smell what they eat. I can smell what they fear. Day 300. They're comfortable. People are easiest when they feel safe. I had to stop. I was dizzy. It was too intimate, too observant, too patient. This wasn't some teenager messing around. This wasn't a squatter who broke in once. This was someone living in the walls like it was normal. I forced myself to keep reading. Day 330. The father checked the closet today. He didn't press the panel. Day 342. The mother prays. She doesn't know what she's praying to. Day 366. I will move upstairs soon. My hands went numb. I flipped to the end. The last entry wasn't old, not faded, not yellowed paper. It was dated only a few months earlier. My parents had lived here alone for years, which meant one of two things. Either someone had been in that crawl space while they were alive, or someone had returned after I moved out, or both. I called the police. What do you even say to a dispatcher? Hi, I found evidence someone has been living inside my walls and they kept a diary about watching my family sleep. They sent 2 officers. They were polite in the way people are polite when they have already decided you're exaggerating. They looked in the crawl space. They shined lights. They poked around. They said it looked like signs of squatters. No one was there. They took the notebook as evidence, but one of them said casually, "Could be kids." Kids, I wanted to scream. They told me to lock up, install cameras if I planned to stay, and then they left. And here's the part I'm ashamed of. I stayed the night anyway. Not because I felt safe, because I was exhausted, because I didn't want to book a hotel, because I told myself the police would have found someone if someone was there. I slept in my childhood bed, staring at the same patch of wall I used to stare at as a kid. At 3:11 a.m., I woke up, not from a dream, from sound, scratching, in the wall next to my bed, 3 short scrapes, pause, 2 longer. The exact pattern. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I listened so hard my ears hurt. The scratching stopped. Then came something worse. A whisper. Right through the drywall, as if someone's mouth was pressed against the other side. Soft, delighted. Familiar, like an inside joke. Still here. My whole body turned to ice. I wanted to reach for my phone. I didn't. I wanted to run. I didn't. I wanted to scream. I couldn't make sound. I lay there until sunrise, staring at the wall like my eyes could pin it in place. In the morning, I went back to the closet. The panel was closed, perfectly flush, like it had never been opened. But at the bottom edge where the drywall met the carpet, there was a line of dust that hadn't been there before, as if something had slid out and back in. I sold the house. I didn't renovate and move on. I didn't stay and face my fear. I sold it under market value just to make it someone else's problem. And I know how that sounds. Cowardly, dramatic. But here's the thing. Some fear is useful. It's information. And the information was simple. Something had lived in my walls for at least a year. It knew my family. It practiced my voice. It planned to move upstairs, and when I came back, it wanted me to know it never left. The emergency call that came from my own phone. At 8:17 p.m., I got a voicemail from an unknown number. The preview transcript on my phone said, "This is emergency services returning your call." I hadn't called. I played it anyway. A calm dispatcher voice said, "We received a call from this number reporting an intruder. Are you still in danger?" Then, Sir, we can hear you breathing." Then the voicemail switched to audio from the original call. My audio, a recording of me whispering, "He's in the house." It was my voice, no doubt. Same rasp, same cadence, same little throat catch I hate hearing in recordings. And in the background, faintly, was a sound that made my stomach drop. Tapping, 3 short, pause, too long. I checked the voicemail timestamp. 11:11 p.m. It was only 8:17. A voicemail from the future. I laughed, like an idiot, because the alternative was to panic. I told myself it was a scam. Spoof number, AI voice, something. I called the number back. Disconnected. I checked my call log. No outgoing call to emergency services, no weird accidental dial, nothing. I stared at my screen and felt that stupid human need to make things make sense. Then my phone buzzed again. A text, unknown number. "Lock your bedroom door at 10:50. Do not check the hallway." I read it 3 times. I wanted to ignore it. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, I did what the message wanted. I started thinking about 10:50. At 10:45, I tried to distract myself with TV. At 10:47, I paused the TV. At 10:49, I was standing in my bedroom doorway with my hand on the lock. I didn't decide to. I just ended up there, like the message had placed me on a mark. At 10:50, I locked the door. The click sounded too loud. I stepped back. At 10:51, the hallway floorboard creaked. One slow creak, like weight settling. I froze. At 10:52, tapping started on the other side of my door. 3 short taps. Pause. 2 long taps. My chest went tight. My mouth went dry. This wasn't pipes. This wasn't house settling. This was communication. My phone buzzed. Another voicemail. Timestamp, 11:12 p.m. I played it. It was me again, whispering faster now, urgent and terrified. "Don't open it. Don't open it. Don't!" Then a loud crash. Then screaming. My screaming. Cut off mid-sound, like the recording got ripped away. I backed away from the door until my shoulder hit the wall. I checked the time. 11:09 p.m. 3 minutes until the voicemail's timestamp. My phone battery, which had been at 62%, was suddenly at 18%. Then 17, then 16, like something was draining it in real time. At 11:10 p.m., the power in my apartment went out. Not flickered, out, everything dead, total silence. My phone light became the only light in the room. The tapping stopped. A full minute of nothing. And that was worse, because it meant whoever or whatever was out there had changed plans. Then a voice spoke from the hallway, soft, polite, like someone trying not to wake a neighbor. "Phil?" My name. I hadn't told anyone about the voicemail. I hadn't called anyone. I lived alone. The voice continued, "You forgot to check the hallway." I didn't answer. I didn't even breathe right. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the unknown number. "Do not answer it. Do not look through the peephole. Stay still." I stood in the dark, staring at my own locked door like it was the last solid thing in the world. Then my phone, without me touching it, started playing audio. Not a voicemail, not a video. Just sound, the tapping pattern. 3 short, pause, 2 long. Like my phone was answering the thing outside. The voice in the hall sighed, a slow exhale, almost disappointed. Then it said, closer now, right on the other side of the door. Good, you're learning. My phone battery hit 3%, then 2. The screen dimmed. In that dim phone light, I saw something that made my skin crawl. A shadow under my door. Not the soft blur of someone standing there. A sharp, thin shadow that looked like fingers, too many fingers, splayed against the floor. The doorknob turned slowly, not rattling, not forced, like it had permission. I didn't scream it, I didn't rush it. I just stood there watching the knob rotate like time had thickened. The latch clicked. The door moved a fraction of an inch inward. And then my phone died, total black. And in the black, the voice whispered, now you can check the hallway. I don't remember deciding to do it. I only remember my hand on the doorknob. I remember the lock already being undone, even though I know I locked it. I remember pulling the door open, and I remember the hallway being empty. No intruder, no silhouette, no footsteps fading away. Just my hallway and my own breathing. And on the wall directly opposite my door at eye level, there was a fresh mark on the paint. 3 short scratches, pause, 2 long scratches, like a signature. I stayed in a hotel for a week. I replaced my locks. I changed my number. I bought cameras. Nothing else happened. But every night since then, when my phone buzzes after midnight, my stomach still drops. Because I learned something I can't unlearn. If something can call for help from your phone before it happens, it means it already knows the outcome. And it means the only reason you survived is because it wanted you to. Thanks for watching the full length. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, leave a like and follow the channel. I will see you next time.